on air up there. Oh, also you can hit record.
Do we need to capture?
No, we don't, but that's what we do when we hit record, yeah.
I don't think it's necessary, right? Because it automatically uploads it to the...
No, we don't have to, but you said to do it, like, initially when we first started it?
Because I thought that we might need, like, a file of it, on record, but, like...
I mean, there's a lot of space on that thing, so we could keep going
for now.
Probably the rest of the semester and not have to dump it. But, I mean...
What do you think? I don't know.
I don't think we need to be honest. Maybe if it's a really, really important... There we go. If it's a really, really important one, maybe.
Yeah.
But just as a backup. But if it's just like a normal Senate meeting, we're probably fine.
I agree.
Oh, go to the game capture again. It'll go using your two hit.
Oh.
That takes you straight from like...
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, how are you?
Julio. I'm going to use the rest of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Senate clerk.
Senate recording secretary? I mean, we have a secretary.
Okay.
Like, what do you
I need on the public.
Yeah, they're right over there.
Yeah.
And then you hand them to just at the front.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know where you want to.
Whoever would sit behind that
The
laptop.
guy who's sitting down there, he's the recording secretary. So he's like a secretary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Are you in charge of
No, give it to Nikosi.
What do I give?
Oh, I don't know if I told you this. Did you notice that there's a chat room on the side?
No.
So I noticed this 2 weeks ago when I wasn't doing the live stream that day, and when I noticed there were already like 5 members. I think it was because this was under the it was under the gaming, like the category was gaming, and like people had to surf on YouTube, like. And there are people who are like surfing to it, and we were like, why is this under gaming? Like, or you should follow my channel. Subscribe.
Was it like Black Puppy Gaming or something?
Yeah, I was like, okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't even notice that.
No, it's like, no.
I had no idea.
It's like,
that's awkward.
I thought it was funny.
Sounds hilarious.
Yeah.
Just
Although there were
Twitch
people who were
this.
definitely trolling, and they were like, this is bullshit, or like, everyone here is good, or like, stupid things like that.
They're probably not even from Berkeley.
Yeah.
Probably weird 13-year-olds in their basement.
So I was monitoring it that night. There were a lot of people watching that night.
Oh, really?
That was when we hit like 52 or something. Because there's a big, it was the Turkey divestment bill. So the last 2 weeks, a lot of people have been watching. So like,
Interesting.
yeah, it's pretty good.
Awesome. Can I quickly run to the den and grab a water bottle?
Yeah.
Because I'm really, really thirsty.
I'll be
like right back.
Thanks. Well, I don't blame you.
There was no reason to actually
Dude, why are you there?
mobile app. So we're in lots of ways.
Wait, no.
It's already there. You can download it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's short. I just want to set it up. I might have to have later on Google Drive and then it's just,
Yeah. You like Facebook it?
yeah.
When do you guys start?
I mean, like, if
This meeting. Oh, sorry.
if you have come to that meeting, you would like to read it out. And that's also just more.
7:20, but they have like a 10-minute lecture. Looks like everyone's we're like, yeah, I'll be in the car. Well, I don't. We could get rocked here. It could be a cheese well, y'all, you can't do that because like we don't see it. Wait, what do you have to one and then happen again?
Meeting to order at 7:28 p.m. First on the agenda is roll call. Senator Broder.
Present.
Senator DeSalia. Present. Senator Deschamps.
Present. Present.
Senator Gabrielli.
Present.
Senator Dempsey.
Present.
Senator Gordon.
Present.
Senator Grania.
Present.
Senator Hirschman.
Present.
Senator Sue. Senator Carvalho.
Present.
Senator Terbucci.
Present.
Senator Lee.
Present.
Senator Malbach.
Present.
Senator Tippy.
Present.
Senator Fitzpatrick.
Present.
Senator Curry.
Present.
Senator Mesh.
Present.
Senator Zong.
Present.
Senator Nguyen.
Present.
Next is the adoption of the agenda as amended. The online agenda has one edit to this particular agenda in front of you. It's SB 69. Educational opportunity and review referendum. So I don't know why that's not on the agenda, but just know that it's on the agenda. Is there any other business that needs to be made?
Moving educational technology services next week.
So I'd like to entertain a motion to take Ben, Hubbard, and Jen Schringer from ETS off the agenda.
So you did.
Any instructions? Motion passed by unanimous consent. Senator Scott.
Yeah, I'd like to be adding a bill to new business for later. Should we do that later or now?
We can do it now.
Okay. It's it'll probably be, I guess, SB 69, the bill amending bylaw 3302.
SB 70. Austin, email it to me.
I'd like to entertain a motion to add SB 70 to business.
Seconded.
People are so good.
Anything else to be related to the agenda? Cool. I would like to entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Seconded.
Questions? Motion passes by unanimous. Okay, so moving on to general public comment. We have a lot of public comments today. First is Helia.
my name is Holly Vidal, and I'm a second-year student majoring in Society and Environment. And I'm here on behalf of Students for Engaged and Active Learning. Last Thursday, a corporation cut down 60 trees and sprayed Roundup on otherwise organic farming land without notifying the community of the farm. If you did not know, that corporation is the University of California, and that community is the Albany community, a short bus ride away from campus. As a Society and Environment major, I read in my textbooks and hear from my professors every day about how actions such as this are frowned upon, but in reality our university engenders the same evils it supposedly advocates against. Community members have been protesting the development since the mid-1990s, such as the backdoor proposal. There was a successful community ballot referendum to have the development agreement put to a popular vote in the city of Albany, but it was nulled because of actions by UC administration. This land is a community and campus asset that far exceeds the drop in the bucket kind of revenue that can be made from it. As students and faculty, we should have a larger decision in our public universities' land use decisions. These are the things we study in our classes. We have better ideas about how these lands could be used, ideas that are informed by research. But our resources are being mismanaged by capital-driven bureaucrats. In the era of climate change and drought, this is a backward step. Not the visionary solutions our communities need, not the emphasis on research and learning that we deserve from our university. If we want a better world, it will have to be us who create it. I ask for your support in defending the Gill Tract. Thank you.
Next up, we have Aman Upadhyay.
I chose to come here today to formally address my Facebook comments made on Sunday, March 1st. Everyone makes mistakes, and I'm no different, but I don't want to realize those comments as a mistake because you're doing a huge disservice to all that were significantly impacted from my words. I want to be completely honest. My comments were demeaning, they were hurtful, and they were detrimentally impactful to people of all sizes, races, and genders. And I would want nothing more than to be able to go back or retract them. However, I will own up to them, and I will be the first to say that those comments have no place in our society whatsoever. Because they cause so many people so much pain. And if I could, I would personally apologize to every single person who felt any sort of pain at all from what I said. But unfortunately, I can't. Therefore, I would like to make a couple pointed apologies. I would like to apologize, first of all, to Senator Lavanya Zawarlo, who, although I had no idea I was running at the time of my comments, was still associated with them. And for that, I am, from the bottom of my heart, sincerely very, very sorry. I would also like to apologize to Senator Lucy, who so bravely shared her experiences with eating disorders, as well as Senator Paul Lee, who undeservedly and unfortunately had to be associated with my comments. I don't think just apologizing is enough though. Me saying sorry won't do anything for those that were affected by my comments. And for that, I'd like to declare that the next time you senators see me, I'll be an advocate against those that discriminate against images and objectify people based on looks. I vow to you all today that I will learn and grow from this experience and make positive change happen in Berkeley and the world. I'd like to thank people like Senator Lucy, Casey Berkowitz, Dana Coleman, and the countless others who kept me accountable and responsible for my actions and helped me learn so much in these past few days, and to let them know that I'll be joining them in their fight against the objectification of physical appearances. Thank you to those that were so supportive of me. I appreciate it very much. And finally, I'd like to thank senators, executives, and members of the audience for allowing me to come here today and apologize to you. Thank you.
Next up, we have Corey Rapp.
All right, how are you all doing? Good. Sorry I haven't been up here and made a public comment in a while, but if if you all haven't met me yet, my name is Corey Radko, and I'm the campus organizer for CalPERG. It's the California Public Interest Research Group here at ASUC Berkeley. We're actually a statewide organization, student-funded and student-directed nonprofit. And if you all haven't heard, we've been around, this is our 39th year. Next year will be our 40th year on campus. And what we do is we are the ones that stand up to big banks, big oil, big publishing companies, even big agriculture. So I'm just going to update you on what we've been doing. So the students decided to run 4 different campaigns this year. One is to get Berkeley to go 50% solar by 2030. The other is to increase our professors that use the open source textbook library. The other is to reduce water on campus by 20% by 2020. And then finally, we have a public health campaign, and I'm going to update you all. So we all know that doctors have warned us for a long time that the overuse of antibiotics makes them less effective, and I'm sure all of you have been, or at least your friends have been prescribed antibiotics once in their life, and we expect them to work. But 70% of our antibiotics actually goes to factory farms, and we feed them, we put it in a feed, and give them to healthy animals every single day. And then that obviously increases the risk for superbugs to evolve, and it's been a major concern of doctors for a while. So 23,000 people have got antibiotic-resistant infections in last year, and then 23,000 died, and 2 million people got antibiotic-resistant infections. So the Berkeley students had a major campaign both on social media and op-eds and letters to the editor, along with students all over the country. And today, McDonald's, which is one of our major targets, decided to say that they're not going to sell or purchase chicken used with antibiotics. So that was a really big win for the students of UC Berkeley. And then the agribusiness is, oh no, I'm running out of time. Agribusinesses are obviously really powerful, but we're going to keep moving forward on this McDonald's target to get beef and pork to do the same thing. And then I'll have more updates for you in the future. Come find me if you have any questions about the public interest work. Thank you.
Next up, we have Amy Lim.
Hi everyone, I'm Amy and I brought Sabrina. And we're a health awareness organization on campus, and we just wanted you all to know that Sunday is our annual suicide prevention walk. We hope that you'll all try to make it out. The walk aims to be an act of solidarity for those suffering from mental illnesses, and we also fundraise money for national suicide prevention programs, and part of the money is also coming back to Cal for programs like the Teen Center.
The actual walk, again, is this Sunday, March 8th. Registration opens at 11, and the walk actually starts at 1. Between 11 and 1, we have a really cool opening ceremony planned with a lot of guest speakers who are actually going to be there. And then we also have a lot of activity booths, so you guys should come out. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Next up, we have Tom McCoy.
afternoon, Senate and Board, everyone. I'm here to speak on behalf of Senate Bill 66 that was on the agenda to discuss today. That is one thing that I wanted to bring up. As you know, I'm an ADAPT coordinator, and also a lot of the council people have objections to this bill being prohibiting shocking, and also prohibiting classroom announcements. I mean, this is all stuff that was fought for in the free speech movement back in the 1960s. And I would really have a question with if this bill was passed with restricting the election campaign on this bill campus. Thank you very much. Also, I just wanted to also say, is this the time to have the other comment card?
We have about 3 minutes to talk about.
Okay. The other thing that I would like to discuss would be the basketball player Brittany Boyd and her jersey being honored this year because of how many, of what she has done. She has broken records this year, and also she has superseded the first minority player to play at Cal. And that's her jersey number 15. I would just like to have it be honored by the student government. Thank you.
Lastly, we have Maggie Liu and Samantha Rosenbaum.
Hi everyone, my name is Maggie Liu, and I'm Samantha Rosenbaum, and we're the outreach directors for Dance Marathon. All might have received emails about this, but we really want to explain who we are and why we need your help. So Dance Marathon is an annual fundraiser to the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation, which provides services worldwide for pediatric AIDS and maternal health care. Our event lasts 12 hours, and this year it's going to be April 11th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at the Kutch Theater at Park Campus. And it contains dance floor performances from student groups and artists, games, jump houses, and a lot of cause-based activities.
Senators, if you could reach out to your constituents via Facebook, or if you could encourage your office to make teams, that'd be great. We'd be able to come and explain the whole process to your offices. It would be great to get your support with this. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is guests. First, we have Bob Lalonde, Vice Chancellor of Real Estate. 15 minutes and 15 minutes for questions.
As a quick point of information, Counselor has no official stance right now on SB 66. If you have any doubts, come to Conrad and let's talk about it.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to come and be with you. I've met some of you since I arrived a little over a year ago, and I thought I'd just quickly give you an update on how what has changed in the real estate office on campus, and what our initiatives are, and what we've been working on and where we're headed. Some of you may have read about a little over a year ago that when Chancellor Dirks came to campus, there was some discussion previously going on about integrating Berkeley's real estate on campus because there was a feeling that with the number of different real estate offices on campus and a lot of services and management being disaggregated, that in light of the budget cuts of 2009, that perhaps there's a way to integrate Berkeley's operations and create more efficiencies in operations which would generate savings and be able to deploy those savings back to supporting the public mission of the university, the students, faculty, staff, etc. So Chancellor Bergeneau actually started this conversation and asked a group of UC Berkeley Foundation Board of Trustees working with campus folks to look at this like 2 years ago, and I was part of that group. I actually headed the advisory group on behalf of the UC Berkeley Foundation. And the foundation, as you know, probably manages Berkeley's endowment, which pays out, many millions of dollars a year to the campus to support the university. So we issued a report and to the Chancellor Bergeneau and came up with some findings and said, yes, in fact, there's probably tens of millions of dollars a year that could be either saved through more efficiency in operations and/or being more entrepreneurial with Berkeley's assets and creating new revenue generation to support the university. And when Chancellor Dirks arrived, he made the decision to reorganize his cabinet and create the first Vice Chancellor Real Estate Division on campus. And how I arrived is that I graduated from Berkeley back in the late 70s. I was a graduate of the College of Environmental Design and Architecture, and I was born and raised in San Francisco. Went back to San Francisco and started a real estate company back in the 80s, and I've been in private business for 30 years. And in the work that I did as a trustee, late in 13, Chancellor Dirks and Vice Chancellor John Wilton called me and asked me if I would take this position on campus, since I was intimate with doing the research behind, how do we create more revenue for the university through its real estate holdings, and decided to take the position. I was actually very honored to have been asked. So I resigned from the foundation board as a trustee and started a little over a year ago in January. And I am donating my salary back to campus and basically, doing this as a volunteer because that's how I became involved back in Berkeley, 8 years ago as a trustee. So since I've arrived, we've done a massive reintegration of all of Berkeley's departments on campus. So from facility services to construction and design to asset management to parking, emergency health and safety, the real estate enterprise group, et cetera, et cetera. We've kind of rebuilt the entire organization and have created many efficiencies in operations. And we've hired many new directors to lead these important service divisions on campus. And bottom line, our goal is to basically look at the way Berkeley does its real estate business and create efficiencies for me to be able to reduce my overhead, my department, so that I don't have to ask the Chancellor and Vice Chancellor Wilton for central campus funds, so that those funds can be redeployed to help support you, the students, and the faculty. We have now, in this integration, about 800 employees. Our budgets are well in excess of hundreds of millions. And as you can imagine, given the magnitude of our remit, being able to 5-10% efficiencies and savings is creating many, many millions of dollars a year of capital that can go back to the central campus. So we have a real focus on obviously the financial side of our world, but the other thing that's equally important is, as you all have experienced, when I was here, you're here now, Berkeley is a beautiful campus, but it's an old campus, and there's all these beautiful old Beaux-Arts buildings. They need, love and care and capital to be upgraded, to be maintained. And that's really the other mission that we're on, is that we feel in order for UC Berkeley to be able to compete into the future, that we need the best facilities, we need the best laboratories, we need the best dormitories, we need the best retail experiences, etc., so that we can compete. And that's the other thing that we're really focused on, is a strategic asset management plan to get particularly some of the older historic beautiful buildings restored, like this one, so that we can keep these buildings going for the next 100 years. So we've reorganized our facility services group, we've reorganized our custodial services group, our grounds group. We have many initiatives to get projects completed. One of the things that we're doing is, we've engaged more with the donor community to try to raise capital from outside sources to create funds to repair and build new buildings. So not only are we looking at the financial side, but we're really here to, try to create the best spaces and places for you, the students, as well as the faculty, and then of course the alums that come back and visit. So that's what's happened in the real estate group. It's been a very significant cabinet reorganization and creation of this office, and a massive integration of 13 million square feet of buildings, 13 million square feet of buildings, hundreds of buildings across campus, on campus, off campus, including the new Berkeley Global Campus at Richmond Bay. And we're very excited about what we have going. We have some great leaders in the real estate group that are very poised and energized to implement the new programs to achieve the savings and the creation of better places for you all to enjoy. And I'd just like to, end my comment with a big thank you to Chancellor Dirks and to Vice Chancellor John Wilson for taking the leadership and really, having a pretty significant reorganization on campus to create this office, which will have, for many years to come, very positive results and outcomes to help support you all and the public mission of the university. So, with that, I'd really love to hear your, questions and ideas. And if I don't have answers, I'm more than happy to, get back to you and/or come back and talk about, specific initiatives that might take more time. So,
Questions? Senator Carusi.
Hi, Bob. Thank you so much for coming. I have a few quick questions, but my first one, I know you just said, thank you again for coming in and being attentive. I just want, could you give us a few examples on what new programmings you're referring to? Because it's a little bit vague, so I don't necessarily, I understand the structure of your office now, but I'm not sure what projects y'all are currently working on. And I'd also like to know how y'all are keeping students involved, because this is the first we're all hearing of it, so yeah.
Okay, so projects. So from an actual building project standpoint, I think one of the things one of our first projects was actually the redeployment of space up at CMS at California Memorial Stadium. We were instrumental in helping get rec sports opened up there. The visitor center looks like is moving up there. Executive education's up there. Goldman School of Public Policy, College of Engineering are all under construction. Haas Business School is opening up another division up there. Food service is now being run by iHouse, but we'll have permanent food service up there. We have plans, if you've been to a football game and you see the tables and chairs and umbrellas out on Golden Plaza, that's the plan for the fall, is to have that plaza opened up. You know, we kind of call it Sproul Plaza East, so that the students on the east side of the campus can have a community space to go hang out. The field club we plan on opening up is, we're calling it the Studium, which would be a study space in the stadium for students to go up and study and get food and have a place where they can, you know, study together and talk, because we've heard that there's not enough of that living room space on campus. And in doing that, and in kind of taking a lot of that square footage out of a dormant athletic use for back of house, we've not only created, you know, probably 8 to 10 new spaces for people to enjoy, which we're probably hoping to have a grand opening of all this in August, because a lot of this is now under construction, phase 2. But we've created probably over $2 million a year of new revenue to the university by leasing these spaces out. So that's one project. As you've probably seen, Maxwell Parking Garage just opened. The field should be open very shortly. Again, it's you know, we needed parking up there. It's also a new revenue generation opportunity because it's a public garage. So right now, when 250,000 visitors a year come to Berkeley to visit, many of them park in the Durant parking garage, the city garage on Durant across from Kips. And now we're going to be directing all of our visitors to park in our garage and go upstairs into the visitor center and go up to the university club and get a beautiful view of the campus and experience Berkeley from, you know, up high. So it's not only increasing the visitor experience as their first impression, but also, again, instead of paying the city of Berkeley $5, they'll pay UC Berkeley $5 to park. And again, it's more revenue to help support the university. The Haas Business School is underway with a new donor development of $60 million addition to the business school. I'm working closely right now with Dean Doug Clark, who's the Dean of the College of Chemistry, to build a state-of-the-art new chemistry laboratory building up by the Donner Building off of Mining Circle. The Berkeley Way building is almost going to start construction in about probably next 3 to 6 months, which will be a new 320,000-foot building down on Hurst and Shattuck for the College of Psychology, Public Health, and Education. We just issued an RFQ for a new 500-bed freshman dormitory building on the corner of Bancroft and Dana, kitty corner to Speaker Pool, with the concept of building a new state-of-the-art freshman dormitory with ground floor retail space. Again, that can hopefully create some new revenue to the campus. Love to know what kind of retail tenants you'd like to have across the street from the campus, because we'd like to lease that out to folks that we'd like to have. And then the idea is at Unit 3, 2 of those towers would be surged into this new dormitory in 2 years, and then eventually we would rebuild all of Unit 3 and probably have 6 new towers there instead of 4. And we've come up with an idea of, you know, do we put a Whole Foods or something like that on the ground floor and get, again, more retail services for the students who live in apartments and dorms right there in that area. We're looking at building possibly a hotel downtown that would be the first UC Berkeley hotel and conference center. Because again, we have a lot of hotel use and conference use, and we're thinking about creating that headquarters. We're thinking we need to build a new office building for Berkeley University Hall. We need to build new parking in the downtown next to the Berkeley Art Museum. And all of these projects would be done like Maxwell, where they would be private-public partnerships where we bring in outside folks to help us design, and then they would build, finance, and operate the buildings for us using their capital, so that we can keep our capital to build buildings on campus, academic buildings. And then these buildings, after the debt service pays off the mortgage, would revert back to Berkeley and would continue to be, you know, we would own them 100%, and they would be revenue generators for the university. So, you know, other things on campus, we're trying to figure out what we can do with Hurst Gym. There's discussions going on now about the current Berkeley Art Museum, and in 6 months when that's vacated, what's going to happen with that building. I have an initiative looking at all of the brown shingle buildings. We have about 8 of them between the buildings outside here and up on Piedmont, to get a developer to come in and fix up all these buildings for us, and we pay them a little bit of rent to help debt service the improvements, but we want to surge the remodeling of all these beautiful old brown shingle buildings, that many of which are historic, like this one. New pools, 2 new pools may be coming in across from Speaker down by Tangy that would open up more swimming for students, as well as the swim teams, but particularly for students in the community. And that's another donor development. So, we actually have, and then we have the Berkeley Global Campus, which would be, I think you've seen the Chancellor's statements and his vision on the Berkeley Global Campus. It's online, which is a very exciting opportunity for the campus. So, and that's just this week. Next.
Senator Heredia.
Hi, thank you for coming in. Just a direct response. The new housing dormitories are going to be, correct me if I'm wrong, on the corner of, or on Dana and Bancroft?
Correct.
Okay.
So there's a little building there now called Stiles Hall, and it would be built around that.
As also a direct follow-up to that, these all sound like great projects, but my only concern is that they're being done, us as senators, I don't know how many of us have engaged in these conversations, and I know that a lot of them are still in the preliminary stages, but my hope would be that students are engaged in this process, because a lot of these sound like really good ideas, but with certain caveats like that, sometimes administrators, staff, and faculty see some needs, but also students, the new dormitory is amazing, because I know that a lot of students are right now living in quads, and that's their first experience in Berkeley, is living in a packed room and everything. But are there any efforts to outreach to students to get them to be more engaged in these kind of decisions?
So on the housing front, we've engaged with Lenormand Strong, who runs RSSP on, as far as the prototype type dorm room that students today want. The students who are involved with RSSP's programs would have an avenue into that question. The question on ground floor retail, if you think about all of the vacant parking lots that Berkeley owns, right next to campus, like Stiles Hall or Mike's Bikes and all these other locations, the university, when they build new buildings, by putting in retail on the ground floor, we probably have 100,000 feet of ground floor retail that we can actually develop to help support you, the students, and the faculty in our community of 40,000 people here. And we're probably in short order going to do, I've seen the surveys that Kelsey and the ASUC has done over the years on, when you did Lower Sproul, I think 5 years ago, there were retail studies done on the kind of retail tenants that the students would like to see. And we will probably engage in that, because we want to get the retailers that you all want, so that, they can be successful. So, we have some ideas, like all of you who go to Emeryville to shop, because there aren't types of services here, or 4th Street. And if we can bring retailers to campus or across the street from campus, so that it would save your time, and you would have the services that you want right at your doorstep. That's the goal. So I'm pretty confident that my office will be doing a retail survey in the not too distant future to get your input.
Do you know if the university is going to sign on to the community benefits agreement that the local Richmond leaders and the elected officials have already overwhelmingly supported?
So we are, as you know, the Chancellor and myself and Teresa Nemeth and others from campus are very much engaged with the City of Richmond, and are in the process of discussing the level of involvement that the university will have with the City of Richmond. And I can't say right now what that final agreement is going to look like, but we're absolutely committed to working with the City of Richmond, and I can tell you that, you know, it is absolutely a norm that, you know, as I mentioned, I've been in the development business for 30 years, and I've done many projects over the years with redevelopment agencies and with cities where we've gotten involved with, you know, minority business enterprises, women-owned enterprises, job training, requiring developers to, you know, prevailing wage, local hiring, local internships and tradeships and all that. So, you know, we're very committed to that, and we're still working through that process. I think it's still months away because there's a lot that has to go into that. But I think all of the issues that have been raised about, you know, educational opportunities, et cetera, you know, we're fully committed. Keep in mind that, you know, this campus, this global research college campus could have up to 10,000 people there daily. And we want it to be a zero net energy campus that is a live, work, play environment, keeping people out of their cars so that, you know, if the majority of the people that work there can ride their bike to work or live there and walk to work, I mean, that's our goal. It's very much a sustainable mission. And as a matter of fact, we just got 2 weeks ago the infrastructure plan for that campus. It's anywhere from $200 to $300 million that was based on a zero net energy, where we're actually maybe, you know, producing our own power, clean water, etc. So I think it's going to be a model for those types of developments into the future. And we're more than happy to share that with you.
I guess show of hands for all the comments remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're out of 15 minutes. I'd like to entertain a motion to extend the time by 20 minutes.
So moved.
Any objections? Motion passes by unanimous consent. I'm going to make a list of people who we just went through. So let's start with Senator Gordon, then Nguyen, then Brother, Scott. Oh, sorry, I missed you. That's me.
Hi, Vice Chancellor Malone. I have one question and one comment. So I'll start with the comment. Actually, my comment is that I encourage you to work with the food security initiative that's going on when looking for retail space. I know you mentioned a Whole Foods, so this food security initiative is looking to make UC Berkeley's campus not only a food secure campus, but a nutrition secure campus. And I think they would have a lot of really good suggestions, especially about grocery stores. And then my question is, what efforts are you making to prioritize student parking, student affordable and safe parking across campus? Because I know for a lot of students, parking is either not, they're worried about safety, or it comes at a high cost. I'm just curious what you're working on that.
So, to be frank, we've been integrating real estate, and it's been happening over the last 12 months. And parking and transportation just arrived in my office, you know, the end of last year. And Seamus and I are actually spending a lot of time together trying to play catch up and get to learn and understand how all the different parking priorities and policies on campus. And so I have not looked at any of that yet, but I'm more than happy to talk to Seamus about that and get back to you.
Senator Nguyen.
Hi, I also have a quick point of privilege. If it's okay right now, can we turn up the fans? If that's okay? Alright, thank you. And then so I just want to say thank you for the presentation. Thanks for coming and answering all my questions. I was actually curious about if your office is working on those parking lots at the intersection of Telegraph and Dwight, I think. And I was wondering if there's any involvement, because I read there was like an article about you and your office, so I was just wondering if there's any status on those two lots.
Yes, so
Telegraph and the same thing.
Right down here. Down the corner. Yes, the vacant lot. So,
two, actually, right? There's like two across from each other?
yes, so the lot, there's one lot that's under construction where, was it Raleigh's used to be? And that family is under construction, rebuilding, planning, from what I've heard, to reopen Raleigh's and the other restaurant in that building, as soon as it's complete. The one across the street that's been vacant for a long time, in the Berkeley side article that maybe you're referring to that came out a week ago, yes, we are in negotiations with the owner of that lot. And the plan would be is that we would own the upstairs, i.e. maybe 45 student apartments. And the gentleman that we're in negotiation with that owns the land would own the ground floor retail. And we're very much hoping to get that project signed up and done so that we can have new student apartments there by fall of 2017.
Thank you.
Yes.
Senator Burke.
So, hi, thank you so much for coming tonight. I have a couple questions and a comment. First off, with everything that Senator Lucy said and all the other senators, I would implore you to include students in these conversations, because I think we have a lot of input that a lot of times administration and faculty have, but also the student experience is really instrumental to, for example, the Whole Foods example, etc. Also, I met with your office a couple weeks back to talk about on-campus gardening and food security, and that was a really interesting conversation. I'm excited to hear that you're working with CED on-campus gardening areas and drought-tolerant plants.
Yes.
I'm excited to work with them on that to increase food security and make sure that we have access on campus to on-campus gardens. And we're having a follow-up meeting, I think, with Moira on the 19th. So hopefully that does go somewhere with getting more food spaces on campus for food security. But also on that note, how do you take environmental and public health impacts into consideration when planning projects? For example, any buildings and impact reports and stuff like that, where does the environmental impact report come in, and how does that impact your decision making and planning process?
So any project we do goes through environmental review, and it's run out of our office. Emily Martinson is the campus planner, and she runs that process. And it's a very public, open process, depending upon where the building is or site is located. So, to me, we can think of a way to figure out how to get you the students the notices when those public hearings come about. At the same time, I'm really interested also in figuring out how we can set up. I mean, I've been here for 15 months, and this is the first time I've been here, and I'd love to have more of an ongoing dialogue with the students, just like I do with the faculty all the time. And perhaps, the Senate or the student government can appoint a, real estate commissioner czar who can come and meet with me more often than not, and we can keep you more directly up to date on what we're doing.
Senator Ginsky.
Hi, thank you for coming. Sounds like you've got a lot going on. So my question is actually about the public comment that you heard earlier about the Gill Tract. So as you can tell, students are upset about the trees that were cut down. So why weren't students who had really close, strong ties with the Gill Tract notified of that? And I ask because that seems like phase 1 of development, and I was under the impression that development couldn't begin because there's still an ongoing lawsuit.
So there's an ongoing lawsuit, but the permits have been granted, and the developers who have those two lots under control now, I mean, they've been processing their plans and they're getting ready to start construction. So I think, there's a statement that the chancellor issued a few months back that tells the 10-year or 8-year story of that development site, and I would refer anybody to read that.
And just a follow-up comment, I really do affirm your desire to have an ongoing dialogue with students. As Senator Heredia said, the projects that you're considering are going to have a lot of impact on us, and we do have really valuable input. So I'm glad to hear that you are interested in keeping this debate going. And thank you for being here.
Yes, my pleasure.
Senator Winscott. Hi, thank you for being here. My question is in regards to some of the student housing projects you talked about. For some context, I've been really interested in the Bulls Hall redevelopment, what's going on there with this ground lease model that is being pioneered or being put forth by the university. My question is in regards to not only the Bancroft and Dana property, but also others that have been being talked about. How will these public-private partnerships not lead to higher rents for students? Because the way I'm interpreting the situation is that private developers are going to be able to come in and they have to turn a profit, they have to make their investment worthwhile. And so my fear is that these partnerships are going to lead to, yes, more housing, more student housing, dwelling spaces, but at much higher rents. So how are these partnerships that you're moving forward with this ground lease model going to actually address the affordability piece of student housing and not just the availability?
So that's a short question with a very long answer, and it really involves a lot of analysis of real estate development and economics and pro formas and all that kind of good stuff. But I can tell you, number one, Berkeley is actually, I think, the only university that I can think of that has not done a private-public partnership on student housing. If you talk to your friends and colleagues at UC Davis, Irvine, UCLA, UC San Diego, all of these campuses have outsourced to very good, respected student housing development companies that are actually doing this all over the country, as you probably know, at all major universities. The cost of capital for the University of California at Berkeley versus a private developer, given where interest rates have been, is the spread between the two is very narrow and has been for a long time. And when a private developer who is in the business of doing nothing but building student housing, and that is their expertise, they can build housing quicker and less expensively than we can as a university. And it's kind of the saying that, we are in the business of excellence in academia. We're not necessarily in the real estate development business. And that's why a lot of universities, including ourselves, for two reasons. One, are looking to private-public partnerships to get these projects done because they can get them done quicker, less expensively, and I think you'll find that the rents that they charge will be in line with what our SSP currently charges students, number one. And number two, and more importantly, with the disinvestment by the state of California and UC Berkeley, we don't have the capital to build new housing, parking, office, retail, etc. The Chancellor and Vice Chancellor Wilton, we are under effectively a mandate where our debt, our interest payments that we can pay annually on our debt cannot exceed more than 6% of our overall budget, which is around $2.3 million. So we are hovering up against our debt capacity, and therefore we don't have the capital to go out and issue bonds for $50 million or $100 million to build a new project. We do have some debt capacity, and it was the decision of the campus leadership to save that debt capacity to build new academic buildings on campus, like the new Berkeley Way, the new School of Psychology Education, etc. So where we have the ability to create, a revenue piece like parking, housing, retail, office, that a developer can use that income to pay off the loan, and then we get the building debt-free. These developers really aren't, they're not greedy developers making a huge profit, trust me. They're really in the fee business where they get paid a development fee, but because we're guaranteeing them occupancy, their cost of capital is very low because it's in essence Berkeley's guaranteed that we're going to fill the beds and the mortgage is going to get paid. So, I mean, I'd love someday I can do a Berkeley housing project versus a P3 project and show you the economics, because I think it would be, maybe fun for you all to understand that. But, between their ability to deliver and our limits on our capital, it's the way to the future. So, a good question. I appreciate you asking it.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the ASUC Student Union Youth Center Student Organization Advising Team for 10 minutes.
Fred. People. There you go.
All right. Hey everybody. Halfway through the Senate meetings, week 7, so there's 7 more meetings to go. In the initial reports drive, some of you have asked to look at the job descriptions for the Business Development and Finance Coordinator, so you can check that out under the ASUC Central Drive under the official reports, if anyone was asking to look for that. In addition, we're not reading the reports anymore, so you can just review the reports there. So there are some announcements about MCGC week events and CERC announcements. That can be found on our report. I should have it up by the end of the evening tonight. Also, if you're not attending many of the wonderful events this weekend, there is EWOC, the Empowering Women of Color Conference. It'll be this Saturday at Wheeler. It's free for UC Berkeley students, so I encourage you to attend if possible. All right, and I will pass this on to our Lead Center Student Organization Advising Team. Thanks.
Good evening. How's everybody doing? Great. Good. So I'm Fred McCall, Associate Director for Student Organization Advising in the Lead Center.
And I'm Deepak Sharma, the Coordinator for Student Organizations with the Academic Department on Professional Course.
Awesome. So thank you for having us. I'm going to run through a few things that are highlights around the Student Organization Advising area and open up for questions. So as far as priorities for our team, they are leadership programs, resources for student organizations, and then partnerships across campus to make sure that student organizations are receiving all the resources they need. As far as programs that are going on in our area, we had a Catalyst leadership retreat that happened in January, and that was an awesome experience. We had about 50 students there, and they had a great experience. We're having some follow-up experiences that will happen with them in March and April, so we kind of break down what they learned there and kind of have opportunities to engage in dialogue around what they learned and how to put that into practice in their student organizations. We had a student organization advising forum that happened last Friday, so we got together some of the campus partners that are also advising student organizations and talk about the things that are happening in the Lead Center and also how we can better partner with them in the future. And then we have the ASUC Awards, Student Organization and Leadership Awards that will happen at the end of April 20th. As far as initiatives, working with the EVP's office on the mental health first aid for student organizations. So that'll be an exciting project that should roll out in the fall, I believe. Also working with SOS and collaborating with that team on various initiatives that they're working on. Registration. So that's something that, as we know, was a challenge in the fall. So we're working with NCIT and Collegiate Link to revision that registration process. And the registration process for the fall should now start in the spring, so the students will have a longer opportunity to register their organizations. And so that should be from April to September will be the registration window for the fall registration. As far as staff updates, many of you have heard that one of our lead coordinators, Marissa Reynoso, who advises Bridges and RSCs and along with our cultural activity organizations, will be leaving at the end of this academic year. So we'll be starting the process for the replacement for that position in April. So just wanted to make sure you're all aware of that. We also have a RISC Fellow. It's a fellowship program in the Division of Student Affairs. So we have a RISC Fellow that works in University Village that's working with us to look at the Student Organization Insurance Program and how students can better access that program, as well as students that are hosting events with minors and how they can utilize best practices around events with minors on campus. Some other updates are the people that produce CalLink. They've created an app that it's not that great, but it's a resource that allows students to see events that are happening on this campus and around other campuses that are close in the area. So we'll be collaborating with the ASUC, like the EVP's office, to get some student impact on that app, and whether we will launch that app for students this semester, next semester. And then I'm pretty sure you all have heard about the credit card pilot program that's going on. So in April, we'll start the pilot program with about 10 student organizations, and then create the policies and procedures around that. And hopefully that full program will launch in the fall semester for all student organizations that are ASUC sponsored. Those are my updates. Any questions?
Senator Gunsky.
Hey, thank you for coming, as always. So my question is, like, an event sharing app is something that I am really interested in and that I care about a lot. Are we partnering with CalLink so that it'll be easier for students to share their events using CalLink? Or like, why are we actively choosing a service that you're saying is not very great? Or I had questions about it.
Yeah. So we're not choosing this app. This app is offered as a part of us already having the collegiate contract. So it's something that's already there. So I think that we need to, that's why we're going to collaborate with you all to figure out, is that the solution, or do we need to look at something else as far as moving forward with something that's going to be all inclusive of what we're looking for. So we haven't launched that app yet.
Okay, awesome. If you stick around, I think the mobile app, ASUC mobile app developer is here, and they've been working on something similar to that, so you might want to talk. But yeah, thanks. That's good clarification. All right.
Hello, thank you for coming. I just had a question. I know that the center is going to hire a program coordinator for bridges, and so I know that they're going to be replacing Maritza. My question is, what does it look like for the rest of the orgs that fall under Maritza? Like, how is that going to be distributed again with the other advisors?
That's a great question. So that information was just released. So we're still looking, and we'll be collaborating with some other partners to figure out what's the best practice around reallocating those resources. But I don't think everybody knew about that. So that is happening, but we'll be looking in, figuring out what's the best approach to figure out how we're going to serve the other co-training community organizations. So that's something that's still on the horizon to figure out that. That just came out yesterday. So that's a possibility.
Senator Gordon.
Hi. You mentioned that there were going to be awards given out in April. I was just curious if you could repeat the name of those and what they are.
Sure. So it's the OSCEs. So Oscars, the OSCEs. And so there's student organization and student leadership awards that will go out. And so information will be coming out about that very soon.
Senator Nongbonapar.
Hi, thank you for coming in. This question is probably more directed towards feedback. I know that a lot of our student organizations that are specifically oriented towards professional development or academic services are really in high demand for companies that want to come here and potentially form bonds with students on campus. I was wondering if the Lead Center offered any services to create those partnerships and potentially make pipelines for companies to easily sponsor student events so that they don't have to come to us for funding as much. At the same time, companies from outside can build bonds with students on campus. So I don't know if that was something that you've been in discussions with, or if that's something that you would find valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, as a matter of fact, I was at a meeting yesterday with some of the folks at the Career Center to kind of talk about how that can become something that we do as a regular practice. Up until this point, for example, like a lot of the companies that do come, they've been really, at least from in the time that I've been here, a lot of them have been tied to students that are either in business or engineering for the most part. So for the most part, those connections are already there. But I think it's trying to reach out to some of the smaller organizations that are there, whether it's new organizations that are on campus, and trying to get them connected to some of those resources and ongoing programs. So that's really been something that has been. In addition to that, I'd say also for a lot of the companies that have been reaching out, they always say, oh, we want to reach Berkeley students. What's the best way to do that? We've given a chance for a lot of them to kind of look at Collegiate Link and some of the CalLink organizations that are there. The Career Center's also become very well versed in that area. So I think as a result of that, we're definitely going to start seeing that coming out a little bit more in the future. In terms of like an actual time, like what is the call to action if I'm a company and I want to meet a student organization? We haven't quite figured that out yet because every company has a different relationship with people on this campus. Some of them are only with academic departments, some of them are with the Career Center, and some are directly with student organizations themselves. So still trying to figure that out, but we're definitely trying to see in terms of the companies that are pretty prominent, how are they doing it, and starting with those ones first.
Yeah, and just to riff off of kind of the ideas that you were bringing up about the events app, so maybe if like companies can see what events are happening and see like, oh, this is very relevant to what my company's doing, we're just going to throw $100 behind that, make sure that you set up, or the group sets up whatever is necessary to advertise that company at that event. So I don't know, I guess we should just be talking more offline, but I'll reach out to you soon. Thank you.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm sure about that. So.
Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you.
I'd just like to remind everyone committed to Rocky is also engaging in the ASUC spaces, regardless of what it is, it's not allowed, and it's a competition. But moving on to executive officer reports, first we have the ASUC president, Bobby Martin.
Hello everyone, I'm going to give you the truncated version, and here is going to give a little presentation on the new mobile app. Afterwards, okay, anyway, so things that have happened, had a fun meeting with the Public Policy Institute in California, learned a lot about different realities related to tuition, etc., and then I touched base with PVP on Monday, kind of aligning with some of their thoughts and whatnot. Went to the tuition town hall that was held earlier today. That was a very interesting and fun event. This last weekend we had our leadership conference from within our office. It was a great and very positive event. I feel like I learned a lot. Beyond that, there's been a lot of meetings. We've had a meeting with EPD related to like demonstrations and kind of EPDs doing their own investigation to the happenings of the protest. Thank you to Senator Gordon for being there. You are awesome, as always. And I also had a meeting with Vice Chancellor LeGrand, and after that meeting and kind of in some of the things that I've been hearing, I'm going to be presenting a bill to the Senate next week. This bill is going to be talking about RSSP reorganization that may be happening and potential issues that are related to that, and the need for a student to be at the table. Now, I will let you all know once that bill comes through, but if you have any questions, feel free to kind of just check in with me. Beyond that, and I just have one last thing that I wanted to say. Oh, earlier today was the undergraduate initiative charrette. Thank you to those of you who were there. I want to hear your feedback and experiences. I was there. It was a mixed bag for me. I don't think it was necessarily a fully positive experience. I think a lot of the things that were said were things that were part of the surveys that have been done over the past like 5 to 10 years. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how we can shape the next steps, because I'm really interested in seeing just what all of you thought. And tomorrow I'm going to go lobbying with some faculty members and with the AVP to kind of talk about the cost of higher education. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Any questions for me before I turn it over to Lee here?
Questions for Senator Lucy?
Yeah,
Yeah, we could talk offline about the charrette.
Yeah.
But in terms of just like longevity of any students sitting on the undergraduate initiative, like after you graduate, is the next president just going to fill your spot?
Yes, so that's the way it is right now.
For now?
Yes.
Any hope that there might be more students?
That hope is very slim. There is supposed to be a student committee, and it is, in frankness, I don't think anyone other than the two presidents will be on the undergraduate admission.
Interesting. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, could you elaborate more on the RSSB issue?
Is it okay if we talk about this offline? There will be a bill presented, and I want to wait until that comes forward, if that makes sense.
Okay,
but I'll come find you right after this and let you know about most of it. It's the same thing that I reported on last semester, which was there was consultants coming in to look at potential cost saving for the university, and the first one to be looked at was kind of RSSB. So there's a lot of different elements to this, but I think the biggest thing is there needs to be a student at the table, just in terms of what these conversations mean, because I don't think it's necessarily black and white that a reorganization would be bad or a reorganization would be good. It's just examining what the possible implications of a reorganization would be. And so I've been trying to do my due diligence. I've been meeting with people from operational excellence, going over what shared services models are, and also kind of reaching out to people from other campuses that don't have shared service models and do have shared service models for their housing and dining. And it's kind of like there's a vacillation because there's pros and cons, which is why people go back and forth. But I think the biggest thing that I'm advocating for is that unionized workers must be kept on, because a lot of those workers are either students, and that's part of a larger conversation that will also be addressed in the bill. And then the second big thing is that students need to be involved in the conversation, because it has a huge impact for not only student workers, but student life and student-facing activities of the campus. So, yeah.
Thank you. That was all I was looking for, just an overarching explanation. Thank you.
Okay. And then I'll pass it off, and then,
Hi everyone. My name is Peter Patel. I'm the chief engineer in charge of the ASUC mobile application. And I'm here to speak to you tonight regarding the new Bear Transit safety routing feature for the mobile application. I'll also be giving a live demonstration of this functionality during the talk. Now, I think we've all been in a situation where we've been out late at night and we realize that the walk home might be somewhat unsafe. But we're lazy, and so we don't look for that PDF, wherever it is, that shows the Bear Transit locations and the timings, and we just walk home. And usually nothing happens to us. We are undergraduates. We are thus invincible. And so even though we realize that we don't live in the safest of communities, we still make kind of dumb decisions like this because the information that helps us stay safe is so far removed from us. And so it's hard to find, as they say. This was the primary motivation for creating the Bear Transit routing functionality, as we call it, on the ASUC mobile application. So with Justin's help here, I'm going to do a quick demo. So if you could just tap the Bear Transit button right there, cool. And so this is basically a list of stops now. So it shows you where you can go. And the simulator thinks that we are at the engineering library. So if you could pick something on the south side, so you can see, or even west side, yeah, RSS, beautiful. And so this is now calculating on our server a route. And now we have 3 different options at various times. So if you pick the top one, it'll show you where to start, which is Evans Hall. And if you scroll up, you can see all the stops you go through until the finishing stop at the very end. It should come, there we go. And you're going to arrive at 9:05. So that is the gist of what Bear Transit routing functionality is doing. You don't have to go in and look at a PDF. You don't have to squint. You don't need to search for it. You just open up the app in a couple taps and you're done. This functionality has been completed, has been approved by Apple, and is available for download on the iOS App Store as we speak. So if you're an iOS user, you can download the application right now as an update to the current one. Now, I know a lot of you folks ran on campus safety platforms last year, and I think we all deeply care about the safety of our students on campus. So in order to advance this mutual goal, we would appreciate your support by sharing the Bear Transit feature promotional materials on your respective social media platforms, as well as making your staff and current candidates share this information as well. Today has kindly agreed to send out the materials to all of you, and he'll do so after the meeting, hopefully. Yeah, and before I yield the floor, I'd just really like to just make one quick point clear. Earlier this week, Dree posted something on Facebook, which was very on point, I think, regarding not taking credit for what other people have done. And I would like to echo that regarding the mobile application as well. I think we have spent a great deal of time and effort and energy in building this thing, and and it's a very visible thing. A lot of people have it on their phones, and I think it's a very convincing thing to have to claim that you have done or you have been a part of. So we really don't want anyone to be claiming that this is what's going to happen. We're going to that they built the application or they were a part of the decision-making process. So if anything, please refrain from doing that while campaigning. Thanks. Thanks for having me here tonight, and I'll take some questions as time permits.
Questions? Senator Jarwala.
I'm here. I'm actually wondering, I'm really excited about the Bear Transit app or the edition. What's that again?
Yeah, so I was expecting that question. I think in a couple of weeks we should have that out. So what typically ends up happening for our release cycle is iOS comes first, and the reason iOS came first was because when we first started building the application, I only knew iOS, and I was the only developer. And so I built the iOS version first, and then when we released the iOS version during the school year, what ended up happening is the Android team started working on that. So they're always one sprint behind because of the way it started. And I think it's very positive because now they have to deal with less bugs, less problems. We sort all that stuff out in the iOS release. And so it really saves time overall, even though the Android users get it slightly late. And it works out. No problem.
Senator Gordon.
Just the biggest thank you for all the work on this. It was awesome.
Thanks.
And my question is there a feature built in where if Bear Transit's running late, that it updates with that, or is this just based off of the schedule?
Currently, no, and the reason is because RideCell, the people who track Bear Transit night safety shuttles, they weren't really willing to give us the information for real time. We have some brilliant engineers on our team, so we've managed to find a way to get that information anyways through like digging around and kind of looking at the online Bear Walk. So I think we should be able to offer real-time shuttle locations soon for night safety. We still can't find it for daytime. So this one includes, current package includes both daytime and nighttime shuttles. But I think we'll be able to give you real-time location updates for daytime shuttles as well.
Additional questions? Senator Pritzker.
Good evening. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the work you've done. I was wondering if you could give us some numbers about what the app, like overall, how many people actually downloaded the app, what your typical, if you have any information about the typical usage, how many, like, kind of some data so we get a feeling of what the service utilization really is.
Yeah, so currently we have about 2,000 users, a little over 2,000 users. And this is across both iOS and Android. The majority of our users are on iOS, and the reason for that is largely because in the Bay Area we seem to have a lot of iOS users in general. Also because Android does come out after iOS, so it doesn't get the full PR kind of push. Our server is always running, almost, and so I don't have exact numbers for you about the number of requests made daily, but I can get those for you if you're really interested.
Sorry, I know that you might be after this, I might forget. Just to let you know, in the student tech community, we went over your proposal. There have been some issues. We have a meeting tomorrow, so I'll probably call you like midnight or 1 a.m. if that's okay.
Okay.
Also, for anyone else like on the floor who submitted proposals, like Melissa and Austin, I'll be somewhat in contact with you hopefully tonight to go over any problems that came up. Sorry for not getting back to you.
David, proud. Oh, that's so nice. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, there are no questions. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up, we have External Affairs Vice President Caitlin Quinn.
I'd just like to let everyone kind of know, because I think everyone knows this, that earlier when just made a comment about not campaigning, Natalia just said that you can't like things on Facebook. Not that any of us have ever be on our phones or on Facebook, but if for any reason you were, you can't like things on Facebook, it's not going to be used as censure against you, which comes as a shock to me. So that's what she's saying. So you all know. We can share things and we can't like things. Super inside space. But
well, like my campaign manager has access to my account, and I just give her my information.
Can I give my report now and I'll figure that out later? Thank you very much. So, we'll figure out the shenanigans later on. I have a report to give. This week we have a lot of things going on in the EAVP office. We have the 96 hours of action, which are happening across the different UC campuses and schools in general across the state. It's in response in general to the tuition hikes and a lot of the problems that we have with the regions and with ECOB. So there's various actions for various events throughout this week. Tomorrow there'll be a rally at 12 p.m. on Sprout. Be there and join the cause. On Monday, we went on a lobby visit to Sacramento. We visited various offices, meeting with various state senators regarding SCA 1 and seeing where they stand. We're happy to report that a lot of ones that we visited show that they're sort of leaning yes, but there's still a lot of work to be made on the student front to make sure that we educate our students about this and that we try to pressure more state legislators to support SCA 1 as we move forward. This weekend, our office will be going to UCSA board meeting at Santa Barbara. So if students are interested, or any of you are interested in going to the board meeting, that'd be great. We'd be happy to take you. Just be sure to contact me or Caitlin. We'd be leaving Friday afternoon. We would be back by Sunday. So it's a great opportunity to learn about the different campaigns that we're working on from Ignite, which actually our office is working on launching an Ignite conference for this semester, working on Fund UC, which is working on these different actions regarding tuition and the other things, U-Consent, which there have been various actions led through the Sexual Assault Commission, right? SLC applications are out. So SLC is a student lobby conference, which would be in April after elections and after tabulation. So hopefully all of you can come and tell your constituents to come as well. It's a great weekend. Starts on Friday. We provide training for those. For folks that have not gone lobbying before, we educate students on the issues that we're going to lobby on, and then on Monday itself, we're going to go storm the Capitol, and have various meetings throughout the entire day, so be sure to apply. The application is on the EAVP Facebook page, and I believe the tiny URL is ASUC SLC 2015. So tinyurl.com or whatever / ASUC SLC 2015. Be sure to pass that along to your constituents. And also, applications for UCSA has released applications to be a collective bargaining representative for students. So students have gotten a seat at the table when it comes to collective bargaining with the university and unions. So if you want to be one of those reps, please apply. The application and more information what these representatives do is on the UCSA website. With that being said, the rest is in the report, and I would take any questions at this moment.
Hi, I'm wondering if any part of the Ignite campaign across the UCs is trying to address the various campus police departments and their lack of positive interactions with communities of color. Is that at all an aspect of the Ignite campaign?
Not that I can think of. I know that we have advocated on policies at the statewide level that address sentencing laws, but we haven't really addressed police relations between students and communities. I know that was something that Ignite Coalition members were trying to bring into and incorporate, given a lot of the activity that's been happening since summer. So I would not be surprised if this is something that's in the works right now.
Thank you.
Hey, I just had a question. Do you know when the Berkeley Review Commissions have dealt with their report?
No, I do not. I know that this is something that the Police Review Commission has been working on. Related to that, actually, this week is the last week to file complaints. So thank you for reminding me about that. If you were at the protest, or if any of your constituents were at the protest, please encourage them to go through the complaint process and file a complaint. They have, as of last week, they have only received one complaint, which is sort of astonishing and unbelievable. So please, you only have 90 days after the incident to report it. So this week is the last week for you to report. If you're going to report, or if anyone you know is going to report, please encourage reporting or filing a complaint as a group. It makes the process a lot easier for folks. I know it can be daunting, but if you have any questions about that process, please reach out to the EAVP office. To get back to your question about the report regarding the actions, I can get back to you with that, but that could be a multi-month process. But we have a student on the commission, so I'll reach out to them, and I can even give you their contact info.
Any other questions? Thank you. Next up, we have Academic Affairs Vice President Mansheng Chow.
Hey everyone, hope you all are feeling well. Suffering a massive headache, like I am right now. So getting right to it, I hope you all have received an email recently from my dance director regarding the changes to have allocation meetings at a consistent time and location, and to be at consistent, every week unless there are no applications, and then a requirement to have meetings if there are more than a certain number of applications per week. There is also now a template to prepare allocation summaries so that all of you can see those documents prior to going into your allocation meetings. Thank you, Hannah, for pushing for that. March, that I already announced, March 18th event on mental health is coming up. There's also a lot of interest from the Mental Health Coalition on this student assessment survey on mental health that we received TACSIF funding for, so we're really excited about that. Academic assemblies set of orientations will be starting next week. I know it's been a long time to get this off the ground, but hopefully with the orientations there will be a lot more clarity among the applicants or the chosen ones on what they're in for. We have 15 applications for textbook scholarship and 2 applications for Outstanding Student Recognition Award. And with RISE, we're currently working with the research center to ensure that there is that the proper verifications can happen, so that no one who so that we can properly verify their status and make sure that they are a part of that network and resource networks. Other things with the CAP representation, it seems as though there were from last week. It seems as though there was some confusion from the chair Nancy Walsh's side about what kind of information specifically I'm to provide. There's some confusion. Apparently, they wanted to know information that actually they financial aid scholarships is more equipped to answer. So I will be following up with that because it's generally good information for us to have as well. This week we also had a meeting alongside who is working on increasing the university's capacity for philanthropy as well as philanthropy. Another thing we discussed is CAPRA is now very interested in the banking RFP. So there were, like Pavan said, I have mixed feelings about what happened with the undergraduate initiative thread. I heard straight off from other students that they felt fairly uncomfortable with how close the cameras were getting to us personally. And I will be following up with why that was the case. I didn't hear about requiring a media release until yesterday, and it seemed unusual to not have been notified upon RSVP that we would need to fill out a media release. So there were some strong concerns about that, and I will follow up and definitely follow up with especially the senators here who were at the shred. And I think that was Reed Austin, Melissa Yorty, King, Juan, Hannah, and anybody? Oh, Eric, cool. So I'll try to follow up on that with Noemi, who was one of the folks who helped plan the shred. Hi.
Just so people listening and something you can express, a lot of students expressed to me that they felt that it was a public relations stunt and felt very uncomfortable. A lot of people said that to me, and I, with all due respect to the community, I don't want this to keep us out of these conversations, because I could see it being used as well. If you don't feel comfortable, then don't be here. But for the average student, it's very overwhelming. I have a lot of other feedback, and I think a lot of the other senators do. So, should we talk to your pot? How can we report our feedback without it reflecting, I guess, negatively?
So, one step would be to email me. Another step would be I will get in contact and just start asking questions as to what their decision-making process behind having that much media gathering happening there in the first place. Was it something that Neighborlands is planning to use, or is it something that UC Berkeley Philanthropy is planning to use? Big difference.
So yeah, absolutely. I will be following up on that and trying to connect your feedback with their, hopefully, trying to frame our questions so that they are land upon receptive ears. So yeah.
Senator Gordon?
Hi, Monchine. This is what I left your voicemail about, but I was wondering if, and for also all of the senators working on spaces, so what can be done to partner with AABP and the senators working on spaces to get departments to loosen up on letting student groups use department space for their events?
Space and facilities is largely, it varies because there's no central, and that's been the big problem, right? That there's no central management of space on campus, and there seems to be even shifting how, like Austin was saying, shifting with ground leases, who controls the buildings, and how, they're just, everything is moving towards transition is the other new favorite word that comes after strategic planning. So, yeah, that is probably for current conversations, that might be really good to ask Justin about because he has the most involved with spaces on campus and probably speaks with Andrew Zeri far more than I do. So, but that's something that we can also try to empower academic assembly towards because they will be kind of the on-the-ground eyes and ears from multiple colleges that in some ways can help students from a very grassroots level work with their respective departments on space.
Any other questions?
Also, last comment, from a sociology major perspective, I find it very, very interesting, these conversations about internet space and physical space. Just saying the law has always had difficulty interpreting the difference. So that's just something that, from a perspective level, I find fascinating that it's coming up in campaigns talks. So.
Next up, we have student advocate Rachel.
All right, hello friends. Start us off. We got 33 ongoing cases, 5 in our financial aid division, 14 in our academic division, 6 in our grievance division, and 8 in our conduct division. Big policy stuff from our finance office. We've been working a lot. Some folks from our office are organizing the independent student town halls, which now we're going to be moving forward into a solutions conversation. And a lot of it we're trying to figure out is how we can better serve that community. We're working on with folks from over there, CD3, on how to make an independent student's handbook, a guide for different aspects of financial aid, managing loans, all that jazz. Also, the banking consolidation stuff continues. Thank you to all the senators who are participating in our little fun group. We'll be meeting hopefully soon if we can get all your calendars in order. Academic, we're working on a bunch of stuff around temporary DSP accommodations. In terms of sexual violence prevention policy, thank you to those that showed up for the Assistant Director of OPHD interviews, Grant and Haley. It was wonderful seeing you there. I really wish I saw more of you working in your office. Y'all got offices, send someone if you can't make it. It was a little sad when we had 7 total students. I mean, there were 3 people on Monday, 7 I think on Tuesday and Friday, and I was sitting there complaining to OPHD that we're going to have tons of students that want to give input. It's really hard for me to say that with a straight face when I don't have anyone showing up. So help me out. In terms of other stuff coming up, we're going to be in Irvine this coming weekend talking about adjudication model for the UC system around sexual violence cases. I've written up a proposal of what I think will strike a happy balance between our current heavy process of the life on hearings that are traumatic and terrible, and what's being proposed nationally, which is called a single investigator model, which I don't think is democratic enough. So we're trying to find the happy medium. I don't want to go way into depth on that, but if you want to hear more, I can talk about it at length. And those are the main updates that I want to give, and if not, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Senator Gordon?
Are you going to the meeting tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. I think, are you the only Berkeley one that's going to be there tomorrow?
Student or yes? Yes. In fact, I'm the only student there.
Savannah, UCLA is not going to be there?
Maybe she will. I'm not sure if she's part of that. I think I'll check. Though I have run the plan that I'm going to put together by her. So essentially, how it's working is that we're trying to figure out, can Berkeley propose a model that we like? Currently, we've got actually all the administrators and I got Savannah and other folks on board on a plan to put together. It's kind of came together today, so I'm going to be sending it all to you tonight, running it by the other folks that I know that are really involved in this space. So I'm trying to get everyone's feedback together last minute. But yeah, I'm trying my best.
And do you know what, that just went away from my head, but also that list that you sent to all of the senators about who is going to be included in that ideal space, do you have updates on that? I know Leah said you were running it by Denise, I think.
Totally.
Well, I remember, sorry.
Yeah.
For the Title IX assistant, do you know like the timeline of when this person will be hired and like what student input will go on that?
Totally. I don't know the exact timeline, and on the second bit, I am a little concerned how that'll look, in the sense that, unlike the prior hearing processes where we were kind of at the table that gave the final recommendation, it doesn't seem to be working that way this time. So I know I've sent like our recommendation, like our ranked list of the preferences of the student of the candidates. I'm pretty sure it reflected all the folks that I've talked to, since there were only 7. It was easy to get everyone's feedback relatively easily about who people's preferences were. So I've sent that in and just said that this is our opinion and reflects, I think, what we've heard from the other groups. But I'm concerned about that. I really don't know how the opinions are going to come together in terms of the final recommendation, because unlike previously, we're not really at the final decision-making table right now. You had another question, I feel like. Totally. So basically, yeah, we send that list to you all. If you have any other thoughts on it, please send it our way. Basically, the group hasn't been created yet, so I think Denise and Co. and other folks have said that list looks great. I think the only thing they're thinking about is the more you expand, the harder it is to actually get everyone there on a timely fashion. So we're at like 15 right now. I'm afraid if we get past 20, this group won't even be able to meet more than, say, once or twice a semester, which would not be ideal to meet pretty consistently. So I think we're trying to find a happy balance. Right now, they're on board for everyone interested. Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you, Rishi.
Cool.
So next to my report, I believe public students, if you could come up as well. So basically, Paul will provide a little bit on his report, so he's going to be making a small report at the end of my report. So in terms of EVP, there's nothing particularly new, just because a lot of the projects that we're working on are very long-term, on scale. So the mental health training that Fred was talking about earlier, that's an initiative that's been going on for a while, and communication question specifically about that. We've been talking about it. Basically, it's to provide mental health support for student organization leaders, and how that would look like is by sending a lead center staff employee as an advisor to get mental health certification training and be able to provide EDR training to student organization leaders if they so requested. That was a concept proposal that came out of EVP and AVP together this year, and got 15K in funding specifically for that project. So we're also trying to develop concrete relationships with the health worker program specifically as well, so that the health worker program can also provide EDR training as well for student leaders within residence halls, fraternities, sororities. Fraternities system doesn't have a health worker program in place yet, but also. So the second email for CSF has gone out. I'm sure all of you have.
It has 3 people.
Okay, perfect. So the second email for CSF has gone out. I'm sure all of you have seen it. Right now we have 3,281 responses for the survey, which is a lot, but not quite to what we had last year, which was around 1,500. So please share it with your respective communities. Student Union Board meeting happened on Friday. Let me know if you want to talk about that offline. But most of the UVP's efforts right now have been still concentrating on the research process. So we've been meeting with a lot of different student organization leaders as well as student programs. I'll be getting new space within the new building to help coordinate the move, as well as making sure that they all know the specific details as to how their specific program or organization will be transitioning back into the new building. I want to also make it clear that there is no new space available for student organizations. All the major decisions have already been made, and that moving forward, there are no decisions. We're done. There's no more space. So please look out for that, as well as continue conversations about space usage policies. That's all of the announcements on my end.
Okay, hi everyone, my name is Tanya and this is Pratyush, and we're here in place of Emily and Eric because they have work, so they couldn't be here. So we're going to talk about Perspectives, which is basically a showcase to bring together all the clubs on campus so that the students can enjoy the diversity that we have. So this year, instead of performing at Zareba, which is like super expensive and we don't have the funds for that, so we're putting it up on Sprout on the 2nd, 3rd and 4th Wednesdays of the next month. Okay. So what we've done till now is that we've steadily invited about 15 to 20 performing art groups, and we got a reply from about 4 to 5 of them, and we're waiting for another 4 to 5. So we're planning to have about 10 groups perform, and the showcase is going to take place between 12 to 1 p.m. because that's the time when we don't have any restriction on like sound amplification and stuff like that. Okay, so basically it's going to be free of cost, most of it. The only thing we're spending a lot of money on is the marketing, the setup, the stage setup, because the whole point is to attract people this semester, so that when we have like a full-on big showcase next year, it'll have like publicity and people coming to watch. And next year as well, our plans are basically focused on gaining funds to selling tickets and fundraising and sponsors. Do you guys have any questions?
Questions for me or them? We're going to do it at the same time.
Yes,
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
On the agenda is the ASUC official report. First, we have the Elections Council Church and Mission.
Start off with giving an update about things that we've been doing the past week. We've had an informational meeting last Friday, and we were able to discuss a lot of the processes of what we do and what people need to do in order to run as candidates or parties. And so if anybody wants to catch up on the material, there is a video of the whole meeting on our website, so you can check it out at www.elections.asuc.org. Last Friday, we also had our first official open council meeting, and it was nice to see some of the party leaders and candidates, referendum proponents come, and so we got some really good feedback and some comments, and we were able to talk about certain temporals that we might want to do. We're having another open council meeting this Friday at 11 a.m. It'll be at 112 Hearst Gym C, I believe, the Big Bear Room. And we are planning to talk about temporals again, referendums, ASUC spaces will be another thing discussed. So if you want to come and give us your input on it, please do come. It's 11 a.m. Friday again. The next thing is filing period has officially started. So it started Monday. It will continue until next Friday the 13th. and it ends at 5 p.m. So this means that by the end of filing period, all candidates and party signatories will need to have submitted either their candidate filing form, party registration form, or party endorsement and filing form, and the necessary fees. So there's a fee to the candidate filing form, and there's a fee to the party endorsement and filing form. Also, this is a question that I've gotten already. Some people have been asking, because after you submit the form online, you do have to print out a copy of your submission to take to the Youth Center and pay your fee. Some people have been asking whether it needs to be approved before they do such a thing, but you don't. So don't wait for the approval of the form. Just after you're done with it, just print it out and bring the form and the fee. We'll actually approve it after we receive your fee. Another thing is that referendum language, ballot language, must be sent to the Elections Council by the end of filing period as well. So that's also March 13th, Friday, 5 p.m. You can make edits to it to the point of no return during the mandatory candidates meeting, but it needs to be initially sent to us as council. So send it to electionscouncil@asuc.org. So it'll go to me, the AG, and we can know which referendums we will have to put on. After filing period, things to watch out for is obviously mandatory candidates meeting. That one's Tuesday, March 17th, 7:30 p.m. at 2040 BLSB. As a reminder, all candidates must come in person. Party signatories or their delegated signatory that's listed on the party form will also have to be there as well. And you must stay the whole meeting. And finally, after the mandatory candidates meeting, the voters info guide form is due the very next day at 5 p.m. So if you are a candidate and you want to start working on that, you can. The form is online on the website, and you just email that to elections. You email that to ASUC info guide at asuc.org. And if you have questions about it, you can email electionspublicity@asuc.org. And so those are all the announcements I have. So if there's any questions, you guys can ask me.
Questions? Senator Gordon?
Does a representative for each referendum need to go to the meeting on March 17th?
Yes.
Okay. And, for the guide, can referenda submit submissions for the voter guide?
Yeah, so with referendums, we are just going to have our publicity cord reach out to whoever submits it by the filing deadline, and we'll get the ballot language from you to put in the voter guide.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you for coming. It was brought to my attention that tabulations is going to be a few hours after Yom HaShoah, which is Holocaust Remembrance Day, ends. I was just wondering if we could maybe have a moment of silence before tabulation starts, and just to make sure. A lot of Jewish students are concerned, so I just want to make sure they still want to go to tabulations. Just want to make sure we can have a quick moment of silence, and festivities can proceed with tabulations.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's something that we can and should do. I'll talk to it with the council, and I'm pretty sure everyone will be on board with it.
I can speak to you after as well.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. Senator Pritzker?
Hi, thank you for coming and for all the work you've been doing. I was wondering, in the future, I'd like to be able to go to the candidate to the election council meetings, but since I won't be able to be there this Friday and for public transparency processes, will the minutes, or at least like the decision items coming out of those meetings, be made public and available to the citizens?
Yes, so we're actually going to have those on a section of the website. It's going to say open council meeting minutes and agendas or something like that. So our tech coordinators are working on putting that section into the website, but they should be done pretty soon before this next coming open council meeting. Should have minutes uploaded there.
Any other questions? Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Next we have Attorney General Natalia Granovich. We have Chief Communications Officer Joe Wilson.
Hi everyone. So updates on what's going on right now. For elections outreach, we're almost done with the first informational video, which will be released Friday, which just has general information about elections, where you can find out more information. We've finished the template for the voter's guide pamphlet, so that's done ahead of time. In terms of the website, I don't know if I gave you an update last week, but this week the company is working on building out some of the more complicated parts of the website, and next week we will be meeting with them on campus for them to give us a demonstration of how it works. So if you're interested in being there, having FaceTime with them and asking them questions about what the website will look like, let me know and I can make sure that you can be there. We're kind of looking at CalLodge branding right now and trying to make sure that the branding of CalLodge really matches what ASUC's branding is and really being student focused. So we're redesigning one of the pamphlet things that they have so that it aligns more with our brand. For Cal Day, we're collaborating with Student Union to make sure that our efforts aren't being duplicated. We're meeting with them on Friday to go over what spot we're all ordering and make sure that we're not ordering the same things. After spring break, most of what I'm going to be doing is finishing off the website and transitioning whoever is succeeding me. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. Next, I know that this is not on the agenda, but Chief Financial Officer.
Hello. I just want to say something because I wasn't here last week and I do apologize for that due to school reasons. So EVP office and I have hosted a workshop last Monday. It was absence and budgeting and spaces, and we had a great turnout. It has people showed up and passion, which is amazing. Yeah, and what else? And also I met with Dean Joseph Greenwell last Monday, and we talked about how SOF, Student Opportunity Funding, was the portion of the funding read out in terms of funding student groups to attend conferences and research outside the campus. And we talked about the possibility of increasing funding for the portion of the fund, and also adding restrictions so that we can benefit groups that need the funding in spring semester. So, because it was like on a first come, first served basis, so it started in August, and then every year the fund usually runs out in January. So I was hoping that we can have a discussion to extend the fund so that they can apply until like March or April or something. And yeah, it was a production, and we both needed to do more investigations in terms of on both parties, and I will give an update soon. Yeah, that's it. Any questions?
I want to know how much of a factor it is if student groups have tried to raise their own money for the Student Opportunity Fund versus if they just come in and ask for money. So do you take into account groups that have done a lot of fundraisers or have a lot of outside sources as a benefiting factors that are receiving this money as well?
So I think Melissa can answer that question in a more detailed way, because I don't know, but yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is committee reports. First we have governance and internal affairs chair Senator.
Hello. So the ASUC Governance and Internal Affairs Committee members again, and the committee reviewed a total of 6 finalist candidates for either the Attorney General / Chief Legal Officer position or the Chief Accountability Officer position. The following nominations we approve with unanimous consent. We have Alan Quinn for the Attorney General, Chief Legal Officer, and we have Shoji Banerjee for Chief Accountability Officer. Moreover, SB 62 was tabled by unanimous consent to be discussed next week by the committee. Thank you. Oh yeah, also, it's not like a too big a deal, but my last name is one syllable. Yeah, I mean, it's like no aggression at all, just aggression, yeah.
So our committee did not have any bills, but I did propose that external meet at GCOM, but since the bill was tabled, we were.
Questions for Senator Casalia? Cool. Moving on to Finance Committee Chair, Senator.
Good evening, everyone. So this week, allocated 1,250 and 2,250 from space reservation. Next week we'll be talking about the co-ops, right, Austin? Or actually tonight, okay, that's one thing. In addition to that, okay, so we passed SB 6 with amendments. SB 57, which is very exciting because we put $15,000, $10,000 into Senate Committee. JK. We put all $15,000 into Senate contingency because we ran out of money. So that money came from carry forward. In addition to that, next week we will be interviewing the next CCOs. We will be interviewing applicants for the next CCO and CFO. We have a total of 3 CCO applications and 8 CFOs. So it's going to be a next week. Yes, to everyone. So yeah, that's it.
Questions for Senator David? Senator Guardia?
Just a clarification question. I remember Senator Frankel was applying to CFO, and I wanted to know what would be the status of conflicts of interest.
I'm gonna meet with you first, and I left early so they discussed questions. And then I also will that I care a lot about this, and I want to put in my input about the candidate. I also don't want that to affect me on my end. However, I will also leave the deliberations after I just make clear my preferences in terms of everyone else. Because I really care about this
She will not be voting either.
Yeah,
that's also very important.
Any other questions for Senator David? Cool. I would like to entertain a motion to approve the committee reports.
So moved.
Any motions? Consent. Moving on to the consent calendar and immediate consideration. We have 4 So does anything need to be pulled from the consent calendar?
Pull SB.
FB 6 has been pulled for immediate consideration. Does anything else need to be pulled? Cool. I would like to entertain a motion to pass it.
So moved. Seconded.
Questions? By unanimous consent, moving on to immediate consideration. FB 6. Let's see what's still here.
Yeah, so hey everyone.
At space